Welcome back, Legion. Today I want to talk to you guys about the different phases of training and how it's important to train differently for each phase. So when I mean different phases of training, I'm talking about in-season, pre-season and off-season. Now this can be different for different sports. For example, some sports like AFL, rugby, basketball, they might have games once a week on a weekend. Up to 2 games if you're playing basketball, but generally we're looking at one main game on a weekend usually, or we're also referring to a tournament-based system, which might be things like frisbee or even tennis. Think like Wimbledon, the French Open, the Australian Open, the USA Open. These are tournaments, so you'd be leading up to a 1 to 2 week type round robin, then into finals type tournament. And then you've got competitions, so think more like the Olympics, where they might not have any specific sporting competition weekends, but what they might have is one big lead-up competition, say like a qualifier for the Olympics, and then the Olympics themselves, which is a one-off big competition. So it's important to understand the needs of each training phase. The point of the strength and conditioning for each phase is to complement each phase with what you want to achieve. So for example, if we're looking at in-season training, we really should be trying to just generate maintenance. Okay, so the work that you would have done in the off-season and pre-season, we're just trying to maintain that there, especially in particular strength. It's not always possible to gain more strength, but you might gain more specific strength or more transferable strength. So what I mean by that is the strength training that you're doing in the gym actually transfers better to the field. So the workouts or the exercises specifically might look a little different. In regards to conditioning for the in-season, we really just should be using the competition as our way to keep ourselves conditioned. So if you're playing games, really that should be enough to keep you conditioned. You shouldn't really need to do that much top up during the season. I guess what you can do is you could do potential top up running at certain periods in the season, maybe even on bye weeks or rest weeks. I think in a tournament, you definitely wouldn't need to add conditioning to that period. I would have thought almost all your extra stuff, if it was a little bit of conditioning, going to be very recovery based, so low intensity, getting the blood flow going. Pre-season, this is our time to create specific adaptations towards conditioning, so specific fitness. I guess what I mean by this is if we're thinking about a field-based athlete maybe, so netball, basketball, football, rugby, soccer, this type of athlete is going to need running conditioning. In particular, high intensity and interval-based change of direction running conditioning. So I think gone are the days that we use long, slow distance, steady state running to condition our athletes during the pre-season phase. Potentially we might use this in the off-season phase, but during the pre-season phase, we're trying to fill different buckets. And I guess what I mean by buckets is if you're training for your sport during pre-season, which you should be, then you're going to get X amount of conditioning from that. Now, there's no point doing more specific conditioning that's exactly the same. So if my intensity is a 7 or 8 out of 10 when I'm doing my drills, my drill work, my skills work, there's no point doing the same when I'm just running. So I need to create an overload. So this is where it might be a little bit more intense type of running. We might add in some change of directions and different types of intervals. Then we move to the off-season. So this is where strength and conditioning can really help and have a massive impact on your performance throughout your sporting career. So during this phase, we can really concentrate on maximal strength, so getting as strong as possible, a little bit of hypertrophy, which is basically just muscle mass gain. And ideally, we're looking at the specific areas that are going to need the most amount of muscle and strength for your sport. And then conditioning, I like to consider this just as a conditioning maintenance phase. So just trying to stay fit enough so that when you go into pre-season, you can tolerate the training loads. But I consider pre-season the time when you really ramp up your conditioning for your sport. Like that's when you're going to get fitter. I'm not sure if I'm so convinced that you should be getting really fit for your pre-season, because then what is the point of pre-season? Pre-season is the time where you become your fittest. So the off-season, as long as you turn up to pre-season and you're in good enough shape to get through the training loads that the coaches have set for you, then you're going to have an excellent platform to build upon there, and you'll achieve your ultimate fitness by the end of the pre-season phase. All right, thanks for that, guys. I appreciate your time.